how it goes. On Spurs, when I mentioned this before, right, the question is, why are Spurs so badly run? My view is that they're not very well run. And you may disagree. So the question is, how badly are they run? You may say they're not being run badly at all. They're brilliantly run. And then give us examples of how well they are run.
Can I just say, when you say they're badly run,
it
can't be badly run, Aid, with that stadium that is now the envy of probably most of the footballing planet. Right, they can't be badly run, having just put a facility like that.
It's the best stadium in the world.
London. Yeah, it is incredible. First time I ever saw it, I literally, it took my breath away. I just couldn't believe what I was actually seeing when I went there.
But is that it? Is that because they've got a great stadium? That means they're well run.
No, but what I mean is, there's clearly a desire to make Tottenham something. Right, there must be a desire there to make Tottenham something special. I've heard the argument that there's obviously they're making plenty of money out of it, etc., etc. I do believe that they have the right intentions, but I also believe that I've always felt that owners have a responsibility to their customers, to their supporters, to be more honest with them, to be more open with them, to have more dialogue with them, and we still don't really have that. With football ownership, we don't really have owners stepping up and saying, this is what I'm doing, this is what we're doing, this is what we're trying to do, this is why we need your support, this is why we need your help, this is why we need you to turn up in your numbers and get behind the team. I don't know why they don't seem to want to do that. It's like everything they do wants to be from behind the settee a little bit. And now, you know, Daniel Levy is taking punches left, right and centre over the Harry Kane scenario and over where Spurs find themselves, because 4 years ago they looked like the team that were going to emerge to challenge at the very, very top of the league 4 or 5 years ago. Now they've gone backwards and now they're rebuilding.
This is why I'm talking about them being badly run, and it's a more recent thing, but there are examples. So Pochettino going, what was the plan? The plan was bring in somebody who can win things. That's, Jose Mourinho wins things. At which point you alienate probably, I would say, 50% of the Spurs supporting public. Had it gone right and he'd won trophies, that probably would have changed for a lot of them. But I was with a Spurs fan last week. We had lunch together and he said to me it was a glorious day when Mourinho left. So he wasn't, and this is a lifelong Spurs fan, so he wasn't happy with having Jose. So that was an appointment that probably didn't reflect the wishes of the fan base. The sacking of Pochettino probably didn't reflect the wishes of the fan base. These things are okay. You can go against the wishes of the fan base if they work out. They clearly haven't worked out because Spurs have taken themselves out of contention, out of the Champions League. They're not going to be in a Champions League final anytime soon unless there's some sort of miracle. But in more recent months, they sacked a manager before a cup final and appointed a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, get that.
I don't get that either. The manager chase this summer was a total farce, and the Kane situation has been left to fester for 2 months after the player pretty clearly stated his position. That's been left to fester, and now we've got a situation where the new manager is having to deal with that Kane situation. He's going to be asked endless questions about it. You mentioned it yesterday, as he's trying to resurrect Spurs as a competitive force. New season is less than a fortnight away. Kane situation has not been resolved. When actually good management of the football club, if it was really well run, I believe they would have grabbed hold of that situation, taken control of it and taken it in the direction they wanted. You were spot on yesterday, Andy, when you said what they could do is sell Kane, rebuild. They can have success without Harry Kane. That can happen. It's not the end of the world if he goes. So as soon as he's done that interview, if you're Levy, you go to him and say, right, okay, you want out. You've done that interview. You clearly don't want to be at Spurs. Let's get top dollar for you. So we'll go to Man City and we'll say, this is the price. If they come up with it straight away, you can tell your agent this and he can go and tell City this. They come up with that figure straight away, you're their player.
Across Europe, when players make it known they don't want to play for that club anymore, they don't want to work with that manager, the managers often come out in press conferences and end up saying, he doesn't want to play. I'm only interested in coaching and working with players that want to play for this club.
Yeah.
And in other words, I'm telling the sporting director, I'm telling the owners, get rid of this one because I don't want problems. I've got the job's hard enough as it is without having problems every time I look at this guy across the dressing room. So get him gone, please, and get me something else to come in and replace him. So, and in Europe, I feel there's a lot more of that goes on, and there's an acceptance of that. Here, we still fight. We still fight for that. To not allow that to happen when players openly turn around and make it known that they actually would like to move on. And I would imagine now Harry's nearing the point of a transfer request. He might well be now thinking, right, what more do you need from me to let here have this?
Well, he needs to make a statement, doesn't he?
Again, what I don't understand, Aid, I really don't understand why Harry hasn't come out and said, "Look, this was what was agreed. This is why I'm so disappointed and devastated by it." If he does that and comes out and says that, and people can read that, and all right, people can always. There's always two sides to the story. Mr. Levy and Tottenham can have their say, but if Harry Kane comes out and says that this was what I had agreed, do you agree with me that this means I can go, and I can no longer work with someone that doesn't honour his word, that doesn't stand by the handshake? I'm not prepared to work for that man anymore. I don't understand why Harry's not doing that. A bit. I'm not saying he's going to call a press conference outside his front door and walk down the garden path and do it at the end of his drive. I'm not saying he's going to do that. And he's been on holiday, of course. But at some point, I'd be very surprised if Harry's people, his team, his family that look after him, whatever, don't come out and say, this is why. This is why the player wants to go, because this was said, this was what was agreed. And it'd be fascinating to know what was agreed in that conversation.
It is a question about Spurs and how they're run and how they've got to this situation with a club legend who's been there since he was a kid. How has this been allowed to happen? And we're getting into the new season. They still haven't got the centre-half over the line. He's been playing at the Copa America, winning it, so he's not going to be ready for the start of the season. Spurs are not going to be ready for the start of the football season. And I think that tells you all you need to know about how they're run.
Yeah. Also, does an owner have the right... Does an owner have the right to go back on his word for the sake of his club? I'd like to ask our listeners
It's a great question.
Do they feel that a chairman has the right to actually go back on something that he's agreed?
With an important player.
With their best player. Does he have the right to go back on that for the sake of his club, because he's got his club's interest in mind? I'd like to hear what the fans, the listeners think of that.
Absolutely. 08717 22 33 44. Let's hear from you on Drive on talkSPORT.